What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent episode of Running Back Podcast, right? Yeah, I'm listening to them talk about the Miami Heat and do they think Michelle Beadle posed a question to what's the guy named Lou Williams, right? And asked him, do he think that Miami Heat can get that number 4 spot in the East, right? And so now my first answer to that is I think so, right? Number one, I think that the Miami Heat can get that number 4 spot because the East is not as strong as the West, and that's not to criticize the teams in the East, but they're not quite as strong as the West. So to move up from, I think right now they're currently number 6. But for them to move up from number 6 to number 4, I don't think is a stretch because the East is not as strong. That's number one. Then number two, I like the organization as a whole, right? Because I like the coach Eric Spoelstra. I agree call him Eric Estrada, but Eric Spoelstra. I like Eric Spoelstra, the way he coached. He always makes sure that his team plays up to they always play up. They never play down. And that comes from, you got Pat Riley, then you got Eric Spoelstra, right? They consummate professionals and pros. And you don't see a whole lot of teams around the league that really don't have the talent. They don't have that superstar ball player, but just playing basketball the right way makes Miami every year a threat and keeps them in the thick of things because they play basketball the right way. They're always gonna play defense, and on offense, they very they move and cut. Everybody play on, everybody just plays their role. So they're a well coached team and a well rounded team. I even like the guy. What's the guy? Bam out of Bayou. I like Bam. Then they got the guy Wiggins down there. So just for the way that they run, they are, Miami's going to be in the thick of things. Now, that might be part of the reason why they can't get they don't get a high draft choice because they fall either in the middle or the top 2/3, right? So they don't get they won't get a number 1 pick. They won't get, every year they're not going to be in a lottery like somebody like the Wizards, So, that's one of the downfalls of having a really good organization and people running your organization is, sure, they're in the thick of things, but they won't get a lottery pick like sometimes the Wizards do. But even with that, I would prefer to be the Miami Heat than the Washington Wizards because they get high draft choices and look, they still in the basement. So it's better just to go out there and play your best and do your best and run the organization the way it's supposed to be ran. So with that being said, man, I'm going to play some audio of what Lou Williams and Michelle Beadle have to say about Miami potentially moving up to that 4th spot in the East.
Is don't look now, Miami Heat doing that thing they do where you're like, maybe they are going to be a bit of a problem. 3 straight now, 6th in the Eastern Conference, 18 and 15. Do they have, when you watch them play, is there enough there that you could see them as a possible 4 seed come end of season?
Possibly. Possibly. You looking at the standings right here, like the three teams that I think are solidified are going to be the top 3 right now. The Pistons, Knicks, Celtics, those are going to be the teams I think that are just going to interchange and they're going to stay in those spots. Where it gets interesting to me is Toronto. Are they the real deal? Is Orlando the real deal? What are the Sixers going to do? Are the Sixers going to...
Let me say this before he go on about Toronto. Toronto too is another organization because of that. I think the general manager's name, Cy Mujeri or something like that, right? They always going to be in the thick of things too because they know how to run an organization. I first became aware of the guy Cy when Toronto had Kawhi Leonard and they won that championship, right? Then Kawhi Leonard left the next year, but they still stayed in the thick of things. Like you know, they didn't win a championship again though, but they were very competitive, and I just like the way that they play. So Toronto, to me, I think they the real deal. I'm not so sure about the Orlando Magic, you know, and I'm not so sure. I don't know what to make about the Sixers, and I'm kind of surprised at the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, where they at? They at number 11. I'm surprised about the Milwaukee Bucks too at the 11th spot. So, but let me let Lou Williams continue what he was saying.
Get in this conversation as well. I also look at Cleveland at that 8th spot. Like I don't think that's a team that stays there either. It's a lot of different conversations coming out of Cleveland, but I don't think they stay there. So that's what makes it interesting for Miami at the spot that they're in. If they can continue to play this way, I think they go forward before they go backward. But it's a lot of teams right around them in the mix that have similar situations that are in the similar position that they're in. They're trying to get better and better. So the way that they played last night, with the exception of Jokic going out in that game when he did, they're playing really good basketball, and they've been playing well enough to put themselves in that conversation. But I think they cap out at 4 if they do put themselves in that conversation based on how the Celtics have been playing. And obviously, you know, you have the Detroit, and you have you got the Knicks playing really good basketball as well in the East. So I think they cap out at 4. I think by the end of the season, once it's all said and done, I think they can walk that down.
For the Miami Heat to come in at 4, like I said, when you got Detroit, you got Boston, Cleveland is over there, and I'm kind of surprised though with Cleveland. Like Cleveland has fallen off since last year, right? And the thing about Cleveland is they got talent. But I don't know why things this year haven't clicked for them the way it did last year. So, I think Miami can do it. Miami, I think, like I said, can be number 4 in there. It's going to be between Miami and Toronto. I think those teams are the real deal because, like I said, the way the organization is run and the way they are coached, those teams are for real.
Kind of love that the Celtics are in the 3. Like nobody had that. None of it. They moved people out. It was like, all right, we're mailing it in until Tatum's, and now they're sitting at 3 with Tatum going to come back. It's a good.
And the thing about the Celtics, right? I like that coach too. What's the coach name? I forgot the coach name, but I never got the impression that with Tatum being out, that this coach for the Celtics was going to allow them to tank or play. What's his name? Joe something. I forgot his name. But I never thought that for a minute. Especially they still have a good team, even without, Jalen Tatum, right? Tatum, what's his name? Jason Tatum. Even without Jason Tatum, they still have a good team. So I never thought for a minute that the Celtics was going to be done for, or they was going to be at the bottom. Like I said, I'm more surprised that Milwaukee, just with Giannis's ability alone, they should be higher than number 11. So that is crazy to me. That's not really a good sign for Giannis to be sitting at 11. And he's supposed to be one of the premier basketball players, not just in the East, but in the NBA. Somebody who is highly sought after, and your team is sitting at number 11. You got Bam Adebayo with the Miami Heat, and his team is like at number 6 right now. I'm telling you, it's about coaching. It's not just everybody in the league has talent. And your talent, depending on how you play, your talent can either keep you at the bottom half of the league, or it can at least keep you in the middle to the upper, keep you in the middle to close to like the upper 1/3, right? Not at the top. If you don't have like a LeBron James or Luka, somebody like a Luka or a what's the other guy name, or the Joker. Everybody don't have that. But like I said, if you play basketball the right way, that will go, that'll go a lot further too than sometimes having superstars. Cleveland not playing the right way. Let me see who else. Like I said, Giannis, their team is not playing the right way. Nowhere in the world you have Giannis and y'all sitting at 11. That's just crazy. That's a reflection of Giannis and the organization. Cleveland, the Milwaukee Bucks. Same thing with the Sixers, right? You got You got Joel Embiid, and I know he's in and out of the lineup, but you still got Tyrese Maxey, and that it's a reflection of like I said, whatever superstar player you have and the coach, because you could play defense. That's half of the, you could play tough defense and beat most of the teams in the league. So let me get back to some more what they're saying though.
Story. By the way, we talked so much about South Beach flu and all that good stuff. The Nuggets had not lost a game.
All right, so they done with the Heat, right? But yeah, I agree with Lou that the Heat can definitely be number 4 in the East. It's just like I said, I'm going based on like coaching and that mentality and like their way of playing and getting things done, down in Miami. So that's how I see it. So man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.